If you read the title and went, do we even have a culture? You're right. We don't. Oxford Dictionary defines culture as the customs and beliefs, art, way of life, and social organization of a particular country or group. From that definition, then, I want you to take a moment to think. What are Kenyan customs and beliefs? What's our way of life? What are our social organizations? And I'm not talking about your particular tribe here, by the way. I mean as a collective, as a country. What even is Kenyan culture? I've been thinking more and more about this over the past few years, and just thinking about it, it's only recently that I got into actually researching the topic. We are a proud people and we stand out in the spaces we occupy. In a crowd, you can more often than not point out a Kenyan, mostly because our silly wristbands are a dead giveaway. But that's besides the point. But when we really get into finding ourselves, beyond the slogans and the macho-ness that we show out there and online, there's nothing really distinctly Kenyan about us. Believe me, there is a Kenyan way of life. There always has been. It has just now become buried in our performativeness, in the image we'd like to be seen in. We have become a society so eager to be seen and not to see, a society concerned with how a thing looks more than how it works. Take, for example, the 2022 election. We were riddled with ad after ad about how this election was different, how we were no longer making tribe the focus of our voting, but instead it would be an issue-based election. But when election day came, this is how we voted. And online, the discourse was around how old Raila was, how a woman cannot be deputy president because she stands to become president if anything were to happen to him, and how a woman president is a bad look for Kenya, whatever that means. It came down to looks, not the manifestos, the yellow one especially that we were told was the best the country ever had. One term, by the way, in case you are wondering. I don't know why you are wondering. Focused in Guy Debord's Society of the Spectacle. For his second thesis, he argues that the images detached from every aspect of life fuse into a common stream in which the unity of that life can no longer be recovered. Fragmented views of reality regroup themselves into a unity as a separate pseudo-world that can only be looked at. The specialization of images of the world evolves into a world of autonomized images where even the deceivers are deceived. The spectacle is a concrete inversion of life, an autonomous movement of the non-living. And this translates perfectly, in my opinion, to our tribal fragmentation. A quick Wikipedia read of Kenyan culture would describe Kenya as a nation without one particular culture, because most people follow the customs and traditions of their particular tribe or region, even within the cities. Despite the fact that most of us have not done cultural studies or do not engage people enough to actually gauge what their cultures look like, we take the fragmented images to be fact about those particular communities. We take symbols of culture to be the culture itself. For the purpose of this discussion and not because of my name, let's take, for example, the Luya. There are about 20 sub-tribes, all with varying cultural practices, and yet every time someone describes a Luya to you, they all have the same 3 or 4 talking points, an entire culture reduced to Ingoho, bullfighting, and Isukuti, of which not many even know about the third one anyway. This leads to the separate pseudo-world that can only be looked at that the board describes. Luya culture and all other misrepresented cultures become this performance made only to be looked at. This performance and those promoting it are in essence deceiving, and sadly the promoters themselves are becoming deceived by it. When I was growing up, Kenya had a budding, buzzing comedy scene. From the ridiculous days to Churchill Live and then Churchill Show, we were introduced to new comedians on a near weekly basis. Ridiculous particularly stole Kenyans' hearts because of their political satire at a time when critiquing the government in any way could land you jail time. They captured the imagination, they promoted expression and stepping to the man, punching up as comedy was always intended to be. After a while though, my household stopped watching Churchill Show and all the new comedy shows, even sitcoms that were popping up, because they became promoters of these illusions of culture. Every week on Churchill, we'd have a new act tell us about Kalenjins are like this.
Ati watu wa Rift Valley sio romantic, watu wa Eldoret sio romantic, wapate kushindwa.
Kambas are like this.
You know, in Ukambani, let me tell you something. We can sing about anything, anytime, any place.
Kikuyus are like that.
Unajua msapere akinunua gari, msapere hiyo gari inakuanga yeye. Yeye ndio hiyo gari na hiyo gari ni yeye.
And it became exhausting so quickly. And the only reason these tribal jokes were told by people of that particular tribe was so it wouldn't look bad in a country sitting on a time bomb of tribal tensions. The only comedian we found genuinely funny at the time was Professor Hamo, and he's still one of Kenya's best ever. And then we'd turn to the sitcoms Monday through Friday, more surface level, tribal, stereotypical comedy. Housewives of Kawangware, Anti-Boss, Vashita, Mother-in-Law, you name them. Real Housewives of Kawangware in particular caught my parents' ire, with my father once commenting on one of the leads, DJ Shiti, that his name describes his comedy. And honestly, that is still one of the best jokes to come out of that show. And I mean that unironically, but I say that unironically, by the way. The people writing these shows, usually the same revolving lot, want cheap, quick and easy comedy, offensiveness be damned. It's the same with people who put up marketing campaigns where Luyas are the cooks or watchmen, Kambas are the cleaners or the construction guys with a good relationship with the Indian, Luos are the bouncers or the mechanics. These campaigns are often unsuccessful not because the product isn't good, but because they don't account for the nuance and diversity that comes with these communities. So even the deceivers are deceived because they took the false image they pushed to be the true image.
Oh please baby love me. Oh please baby love me. Oh please baby kiliza. Oh please mantu Njagala.
Moving on though, what is the Kenyan sound? When you think about Kenyan music, what comes to mind? And you can't say Sauti Sol. Don't say Sauti Sol. Our music has, in my opinion, evolved backwards. And urban tone is proof of that, unfortunately. But let me explain. Give me a minute to explain. Let me explain. We are a people who love music, and we've always had a diversity in our sound. Growing up on the radio, I'd hear Eric Wainaina, Isa, Susan Owiyo, Harry Kimani, Kidum, and what a wonderful time that was, discovering as a child what I thought Kenyan music was. In the 90s and 2000s, Kapuka and Genge were on the rise, thanks to the GOAT, Isa, Ogopa DJs, Nameless, Caliph Records, Juakali, who I think is the embodiment of Genge. And it wasn't just those guys, Flex, K-Rap, Kleptomaniacs, Gidi Gidi, Maji Maji, Big Pin, all the guys who made the sound what it was, starting off as a sound not so popular in a conservative country and turning it into an award-winning, talent-producing machine. Beyond Genge and Kapuka, we had what people would consider the traditional Kenyan sound, Uyoga, otherwise known as the Mushrooms, Eric Wainaina, a goat in his own regard, Maroon Commandos, dominating the airwaves. Now, if you look at what's considered our sound, it's whatever Sauti Sol is cooking up, and by that I mean Sauti Sol's band members and everyone under Soul Generation, and Wakadinali's sound, and everyone else doing urban tone. That's not to say there's no good music that isn't necessarily mainstream. I'm talking about what's actually on our airwaves. What do people get to listen to on an everyday basis? Here's where I have to mention what we could have had if Kamula never split. In another world, we are eating so good. So good. I thought for a while when Nyashinsky returned from his hiatus with hit after hit that Kenyan music, as it always has, would ride that wave and evolve with it. But Nyashinsky is a talent I don't think our music industry was ever ready for. He has a unique writing ability coupled with a unique perspective as one of the few artists from that bygone era who has stayed relevant. I don't think those in the industry necessarily liked that. I can't really frame it any other way. A few positives though, and you may not like it, but Octopizzo, believe it or not, I think he's done the most in the last few years for Kenyan hip-hop and the sound in general. Since his 2018 album Next Year, none of his follow-up projects have sounded similar. As an artist who's mastered the art of the sample and experimenting, he introduces a sound and then moves on to the next. A pioneer in his own regard. He was the first artist to jump on the drill wave of the COVID era, but added his own African twist to it. See what I did there? Did Cheche with Barak Jacuzzi and then moved to Jungle Fever, the best Kenyan hip-hop album since Isa's Nimefika, and I don't even mean that like ironically. Listen to Jungle Fever. We're stuck listening to urban tone, which is just a sound from the greatest era of Kenyan music without the lyricism and the messaging, when we could be experimenting and widening our palette musically. I write all this to say we are a unique culture with a diverse and incredible sound that we should embrace. If we had evolved our sound back then and grown it, we wouldn't need to do bad remakes now in hopes of capturing that nostalgia. The artists from back then walked, so the artists doing it now could run. Some of them even unfortunately died. We're able to better produce and promote our music now. Artists are able to make good money from their art and from performances, and yet there is still a greater preference for Boomba Train than there is for Backbencher, or whatever that song is called. I don't know the name of that song to this day. And why is that? Our music is a reflection of what our culture has become. What's the music, the lyrics, the music video that will get you the fastest click, the most views, and the most money? We've lost our passion for the art. We can blame the economy, our security fears, the disorganization and chaos of poor event planning, but what lies at the heart of the music problem is we stopped trying. We stopped wanting quality music. We want music we can dance to at clubs and do chores to, not music we're actually listening to, only hearing. So that's what the music became. The artists want what gets them the most attention, so they make that. And our standards have lowered so significantly that the bar of entry is, as the kids would say, in hell. Slap an urban tone on some vulgar lyrics, brag about a car, sexualize a guy or a girl, and that's pretty much it. Club bang. It's such a shame because we could have had so much better. Our politics hasn't been spared either. Culture affects our politics too, and it could be argued that our culture is our politics. You go online and people are constantly pointing out that our parliament isn't what it used to be. Don't get it wrong, it has always been wild and chaotic, but at least before, bills were actually properly debated and the politicians tried to make it look like they were working for the people they represent and not companies and not whoever the president was at the time. With our new parliament, the less said, the better. I think people knew from day one this would be a disaster, but the finance bill fiasco of 2024 was what really shed light on just how corrupt and captured by the president Parliament had become. Any bill the president discussed from the pulpit on Sunday would pass by Tuesday and be signed by Friday, even an impeachment of a deputy president.
I am putting you, Rigathi Gachagua, on notice. You are going to be impeached. I can confirm that to you today, and I shall be in charge of that impeachment myself.
The members of parliament who 2 years ago had one suit to their name now drive the latest cars, are building the biggest houses, and it makes no sense on a 10 million shilling annual salary before tax. But you knew this, so no need to rehash it. Our politics has become one of abrasiveness online and roadside declarations offline. President William will call Kenyans wapumbavu and then pray and says he specifically has a plan to make us the new Singapore.
Ndio mimi nikuwe rais. Si nyinyi mlinipigia kura. Yaani mnafikiri mimi nitakuwa mjinga niwache watu wanipigia kura niende nitafutane na watu wa pumbavu? Neko kana sivyo.
Billy, do you hear yourself when you talk? While we shout one time or tweet it, we have to recognize our own flaws that led us to William in the first place. It is said that societies get the leaders they deserve, that basically who we elect is a representation of who we are, good or bad. So Billy constantly lying, his cronies looting, his roadside declarations, his arrogance and insults, that's who we all are. And if we don't change ourselves and change the culture that led us to him, we might vote him out and elect another version of him, maybe a worse one. There is a reason Rigathi Gachagua has risen in popularity, even after the impeachment that William miscalculated thinking he could finish him off. Rigathi is the flip side of the UDA coin that is Kenyan politics. They're the same person, down to their addresses and their dressing. Side note, by the way, people say William is stylish. He's not. He dresses like every corrupt politician ever, so calm down. This guy dresses like a failed mob boss. Whatever, fuck this guy. The ratification of our politics didn't start in 2022 though. It's always been there, in our classrooms, in our offices, in our hospitals, everywhere. We set objectives for ourselves, fail to achieve them because of our own incompetence or laziness, then fail to take accountability and play victim. Does that sound familiar? In our group projects, we take credit for work well done and distance ourselves from a shoddy job or throw each other under the bus. Rutoisms have always existed. We just recently coined the phrase. In a sad, pathetic, and disgusting way, we are all Kasongo. Our politics must evolve beyond the theatrics if we are to progress, or even at the bare minimum, have progressive policies. Your tribe, my tribe, your religion, your culture, these must not be the factors that determine who you vote for. Tribal unity must be abandoned for national unity. Beyond our languages and our culture, that must be the new culture. Sports, something that in years past would unite us. We'd show up to support our fellow compatriots, talk smack to our challengers and their supporters. Now it's become an empty shell. We only show up once in a while and we only do it to be seen, for our gram, for our TikToks, something I am sadly guilty of. Damn, mimi ni Kasongo? Fuck. William won an award for football promotion in Kenya. On the same day, Kenya lost 8-0 to Senegal, a result previously unheard of, even during the days we'd battle the Super Eagles on a near weekly basis. Our athletics have become riddled with scandal after scandal. We lost an Olympic gold medal to Bahrain because of corruption. Jesus Christ. When Eric Wainaina made Nchi ya Kitu Kidogo all those years ago, I'm sure he made it partly as a warning. He wouldn't have imagined that 20 years later, we'd have fully embraced our Kitu Kidogo ways. I find myself asking, what happened to our tolerance for each other? Have we ever been tolerant, or was it just a well-crafted facade to make us look like good people? I remember a time when littering was frowned upon and we were trying to be an environmentally conscious country. People will say the plastic bag ban of, was it 2016-17, was implemented to benefit a few, but I'd argue the corruption that allowed plastic bags to come back was worse. And you know what the Bible says about the evil spirit that returns, right? We literally have a capital city without bins now. And why? We'll say cartels or incompetence, but really, we just lost our sense of self-respect. We don't care like we used to. We're more concerned with getting engagement from complaining about how there's trash than we are about actually organizing and picking it up. Even though our streets are more trash than road now. What happened to Ungwana? Not the Leonard Mambo show itself, but the campaign it stood for. Tolerance, decency, civility. It feels like now more than ever we ought to bring that back, teach it in our schools, put those commercials back on TV, like I am right now.
Hebu fikiria, je, ni uraia mwema kutowajibika kisheria? Uraia mwema ni ungwana.
So then what now? To reclaim and refresh our culture, we must first learn what it used to be and plot out what we'd like it to be, and then actually work towards it in our classrooms, our offices, our hospitals, and in those we choose to represent us. If you read a Kenyan book, watch Kenyan films and shows, and listen to the music from a time before social media, you get a picture of who we were striving to be. We abandoned our journey of self-discovery for materiality. We don't read like we used to. We don't question like we used to. We source all our information from the same latest influencer with a following. We've become sheeple, and that is a major reason why all our organizing fails, because we wait to be led, to be told. We're no longer doers unless we're doing it for self. In conclusion, that is our culture now, our identity. Roadside declarations, loud and proud on socials, corruption everywhere. This is us. We are clinging on to our glory days, refusing to change, refusing to acknowledge that our actions during those glory days slowly led us to where we are now. We are that good dancer, now old, who refuses to exit the stage and now scowls at the new dancers. We must accept our new position, as low as we may think it to be, because only then will our climb back begin. We must abandon and cast out any attempt to distract us from our goals, any attempt by the perpetrators of this culture to divide us through hate and intolerance, as they have done for decades. That culture is broken and dead. We must kick it. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. And I'm gone. Gone.
I'm the new to Godzilla. I feel a sensation, vibration coming on. Walk up in the spot like a motherfucking dawn. What's up with your shorty trying to get to know you? I know we went to school together, that's the old you. Never told you how I felt, I feel I owed you. Never really tried to talk to you because of old you. But beautiful, beautiful, beautiful girl.
So I forgot to mention that I'm working on another video. I just wanted to add this in before this one ends. I've been working on another video. I hope that this one does well, so that, you know, I can have extra motivation to work on the next one. But I don't need extra motivation for this next one, because oh my goodness, this next one.